Hello, maggots. Welcome to the Soapbox. I don't really have a working title for this one. Maybe it's as simple as just stop. You, me, just stop. The media, just stop. Social media, Christ, just stop. Stop trying to find, stop grasping for that positive thing that doesn't exist. Stop claiming that you care about something that you don't. Stop telling us that something happened that affected the American or worldwide population that it didn't. Just stop. Stop acting like you know. Stop pretending you care. Just stop. Most of the soapboxes, I try to make them not so topical so that they hold up against the test of time. I've mentioned before the infamous 5-minute bit or so that stand-up comedian George Carlin did in 1994 about the environment, the earth, environmentalism. It holds up now, 30 plus years later, better than it did when he did it. And it held up then. I'm not claiming to be George Carlin. I'm not claiming that anyone's going to care about this topic in general, and this topic specifically in a month, let alone a year, because most of them don't care about the topic. And that's why the broader point has to be, just stop. We've been doing this for too long. All of the things I've mentioned, claiming, thinking, not knowing, but still saying, just stop. A couple weeks ago, if you would have asked anyone, especially Americans, what Artemis 2 was, they would have guessed it was an energy drink. When I brought it up on America's Radcast on the radnetwork.com, one of my partners, Kyle, who's in the media, he had no idea. What are we doing? What's going on? Kyle's not an idiot. He pays attention. He's on social media. Artemis 2 splashed down over the weekend, as you can see by these blocks. These are very highly mechanical blocks. I can't change those. They're hooked up to an ergonomic chronometer vis-a-vis light. See, it's mid-April of 2026. Artemis 2 splashed down. About 48 hours later, a lot of Americans had no idea what you were talking about when you asked them. And if you did explain it, what? Who cares? Who cares? And yet, we're told by the media that the Artemis 2 mission brought us as a collective, Americans in particular, brought us light, brought us hope. Well, how could that be true if the overwhelming majority of Americans have no idea what the hell you're talking about? I understand, I've preached before about how all news outlets preach to their audience. That's why most audiences choose where they watch, right? Conservatives watch Fox News, progressives watch MSN, whatever they're called now, and CNN, because they want to be told that what they think is really happening and is true. But all media outlets spent an entire weekend telling us that Artemis 2 has brought a new energy to America. No, it hasn't. And in fact, a lot of people that are watching those particular news outlets or social media outlets that are saying, oh, look at us, look what we accomplished. A lot of people are going, no, not really. So they're not even preaching to their own choir because we don't care. And they didn't bring us any light. I know it's dark. I get it. It's a dark time, and it has been. And it has been for over a decade now, if you really want to track it back. 2015-ish. I'm not blaming the man's name I'm about to say, but when you track it back to the day that Trump came down that escalator, and then Trump and Hillary, and then the first Trump term, and all of the investigations and the attempts at impeachment and the claims of Russia and all that, and then the 2020 election and the storming of the Capitol, and then 4 years of President Grandpa, and then Trump comes back, and here we are. It has been over a decade of darkness economically for Americans, up, down, not being able to catch up, not every cycle, every quarter, Egg prices are through the roof. Wait, now they're back down. Well, yeah, but my utility costs are through the roof. Gas prices are through the roof. Now they're back down. Wait, now they're through the roof, etc. People are angry. I get it. They're sad. They're scared. I get it. Just stop trying to tell us that this mission into outer space has changed all of that. And we're suddenly all in a great mood. What did Artemis 2 really accomplish? Well, since so many of you don't even know what I'm talking about, here's what we accomplished. We put 4 Americans into a rocket, and we blasted them into outer space. They flew to the moon, past the moon, around the moon, and came back. They didn't land on the moon. They went further into outer space than any human ever has before. Whoopee! What did they accomplish? How did they improve our lives? How did they improve any of our lives in our lifetime? Now, I know what I'm told. Basically, what was accomplished was that they gathered information for the next trip, which is scheduled in 18 months, and that trip will accomplish about the same. It'll be another mission to figure out how we can put humans, Americans, back on the moon in about 3 years from now. And that's if NASA stays on schedule. Of course, they're kind of like streaming services. They take forever to give you your new season. But if they're right, what Artemis 2 did was launch some humans into outer space a little bit further than any human had ever gone, so that in 2 years we can go about the same distance in outer space, so that in 3 to 4 years from now we can go back to the moon and have Americans land on the moon. Something we did 50 years ago. Well, by then, 55 years ago. What are we supposed to be excited about? What is this light that they brought us? This hope? What is this hope? Okay, we landed on the moon again 5 years from now. Wow, we can see Mars. I don't even know if that's true. Can you see Mars from moon? Mars, the only planet we think is inhabitable for humans other than Earth in our galaxy. We don't even know how to get there. It's only inhabitable if we ironically make it warm enough for us to live there by causing global warming with nuclear weapons. Have you stopped listening yet? This isn't Star Trek stuff. This is, we're never going to see any of this happen, and why do we want to? Stuff. What was the point of all this? And don't start telling me. Just stop. Just look, I get baby steps. I understand. I'm not an idiot. This intellectual argument of, well, they gave us all this research, all this knowledge. Right, all this research and knowledge that we're going to use in 2 years to go back and get more research and knowledge that we're going to use in 5 years to do something we did 50 years ago. See, these baby steps thing, they work when you're training a dog. Like you try to teach a dog go up or down stairs. So the first day, you use a little treat, and you get them to go up a couple stairs, then they don't want to go anymore, and that's okay, so you give them a treat because they went 2 steps. And then the next day, or later on that day, 8 hours later, you do it again. But you got to get them to that 3rd step. Okay? And then the next day, they get up to the 4th or 5th. Same thing. Treat. Come on. And by day 3 or 4, if you do it right, yay, they got up the stairs, and they're no longer afraid of the stairs. 4 days, maybe 5. Baby steps that matter, that accomplish something towards a goal. We're accomplishing what? At the speed of quicksand to a goal that makes no sense to anyone on this planet. No one actually can tell you how we are ever going to inhabit Mars as humans. Certainly not in any of our lifetimes if you're watching this. And no one really can even tell you why. Look at some of the polls over this. Following the launch of Artemis 2, a Reuters poll, good organization, showed that there was high public support in America for NASA, and 2 out of 3 of us said the benefits of sending people to space are worth the costs. Problem with polls like this, and that's what they flash on social media. It's all over on dorky people's sites. 2/3 of Americans support going into outer space. Right, look deeper. Be the Rob in the room. Go ask these 2 out of 3 Americans, what are those benefits? They can't tell you. They don't know them because nobody has told us what they are. But 2 out of 3 of us say there are benefits. Oh, there are benefits. But then you go deeper in the poll, less than 20% of Americans were even paying attention to Artemis 2. So it's so important. It's so worthwhile. It brought so much light and positivity to us that less than 1 in 5 people even paid attention to the whole goddamn thing. By the way, the launch of Artemis 2, when it went out to outer space, not when it came back, but when it went out, drew NASA's largest streaming viewership in history, worldwide. 10 million humans watched Artemis 2 blast into outer space. When you combine it with all the other news outlets, it's about 20 million Americans watched the launch. Initial numbers say it's about the same for splashdown. Probably the exact same 20 million people. Worldwide. 20 million humans on a planet that is now estimated to be populated by 8.5 billion humans. 20 million watched. 0.2% of all the people on the globe watched, cared, could tell you that Artemis 2 wasn't a granola bar. 0.2, not 2%, 0.2. It's a rounding error. And speaking of rounding errors, stop screaming about money to justify your opinion on things that you don't know about, you don't care about, you don't support. Whether it's Artemis 2, the war in Iran, or anything else, stop screaming, you know what we could do with that money? Oh, it's such a waste of money. Artemis 2, as of this date, just the launch cost $4 billion. The entire program that I laid out for you that covers us into 2030-ish, $100 billion to send 3 different Artemis rockets into space with humans, the last of which will land us back on the moon where we were 50 years ago, and we don't really know much more than we did 50 years ago. $100 billion. The war in Iran is right now, as of mid-April, estimated as high as $28 billion, and that's going to keep going up day after day after day after day. So there we have a thing that a lot of people don't even care about or know about, Artemis 2. I don't know anybody that's against it. Maybe because of the cost they're against it. But they don't care about it. They don't know about it. And there's $100 billion. Then you got the war in Iran, where a lot of people are against it. A lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't know what it was for. A lot of people support it. And that's at $28 billion now. It's going to go up. But if you just take those numbers right there of $28 billion and $100 billion, that's $128 billion. Oh my God. Oh my God. Do you know what we could do with that money? And Iran's going to be more like 50 billion, maybe 100 billion when we're done. And by the way, before I finish that thought, I neither support nor really understand either one of these things. Artemis 2, like I said, what do we accomplish? What is this really about? What are we doing? And I kind of have the same attitude at this point on Iran. No one that's of sound mind and body supported the Iranian regime. For almost 50 years, they have been killing Americans and many American servicemen and many people worldwide. They were a horrible, despotic regime that murdered their own citizens. Every president since Jimmy Carter, Google it, has wanted to remove the Ayatollah, remove the supreme leader, remove the Iranian regime because they are brutal. They're a horrible. And we're talking about the leaders of Iran, not the people of Iran. So on that front, a lot of people, when this all started, went, hey, we killed all the leaders. Yay, us. And then immediately a lot of people went, yeah, but now what? Now who's in charge? Is it a worse group of people? Did we just pull in Iraq? Did we just pull in Afghanistan? We didn't really have a plan? Because there were a number of stated goals. Regime change was one of them. Well, as of this date, we don't even know who the regime is. And if the U.S. government knows who it is, they're not telling us. They're just alluding to it. Is it a worse regime for the Iranian people, for the world? Another stated goal was to support an uprising in Iran, liberate the people. Well, they tried. They did try a little bit, and Iran immediately gunned down 30,000 of its own citizens, assassinated them. And the rest of the Iranians went, okay, tried again, not so good. We're just going to keep living, even though we hate where we live and how we live. And then the most important goal was Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. Now, again, overwhelmingly, across all political viewpoints, people agree Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. Now, it splinters quickly. There's a lot of people that think nobody should have nuclear weapons. A lot of people question why some of us do, a very small amount, 11 countries we think do. Why can't everybody else have them, or why can't we just get rid of them? Okay, that's another soapbox for another time. We were going to eradicate Iran's ability to have a nuclear weapon. Well, that means we need to get the enriched uranium that's in Iran. We haven't. No one is denying that. Pro-Trump, anti-Trump, right down the middle. No one is denying Iran still has enriched uranium. That's all they need. Yes, we did use Trump's adjectives to the Iranian military. We obliterated it. We decimated it. We eradicated it. Ooh. Iran doesn't have a navy anymore. Doesn't have an air force. That was never a concern of ours, or even Israel's, right next door to them. They still have the ability to enrich their uranium and make nuclear weapons and missiles. They still have a relationship with Russia and China, who will supply them with the centrifuges and the other things they need to deliver those weapons. What did we accomplish? We bombed the entire civilization almost back into the Stone Age, not that they were that far out of it to begin with, and we decimated their military that we never really cared about or thought were a threat. And we did that pretty quickly, even with the various little, not to in any way demean them, speed bumps along the way, the shooting down of an American jet. Thank God both of the pilots survived. And a couple other successful launches that Iran had in what they would call self-defense towards Israel and things like that. But for the most part, Iran is militarily crippled by the greatest U.S. fighting force ever, the greatest fighting force on the planet in history. Americans, a lot of stars and stripers, walk around, U.S. military, and don't misunderstand. I'm the widower of a combat veteran. I am pro-U.S. military all the way. But that's the men and women that do the fighting, not the ones that give them the orders. The American military did their job as ordered. They reminded the planet the power that the American military has. Better technology, better equipment, better pilots, better soldiers, better intelligence, better everything. Maybe not more. China's going to pass us in a lot of areas by 2030. It's a race, but are they better? We know they're not today. We'll deal with the China thing in another soapbox eventually someday too. The United States military is brilliant. You might hate what they're ordered to do. You might even hate their existence because you live in some Pollyannish world that says, well, if we just didn't have a military, no one would. We're the biggest threat to the planet. All right, I'll see you in third grade class tomorrow and we can talk about how intelligent that point of view is. Point being, the U.S. military did its job. They just weren't told exactly what their job was or how it was going to end. And so we sit here, mid-April, and now the prevailing wisdom looks more and more like that thing that we were told was never going to happen might happen. Boots on the ground, American military humans going into Iran to get the enriched uranium. Because there's only two ways we get it. Iran gives it up. And the peace deals that were happening to get Iran to say, we will give it up voluntarily, which would also mean the entire world can come in and confirm we've got it all, fell apart. Talks are over as of this recording. And unless Iran does give up their enriched uranium voluntarily and allow all of us with eyeballs and satellites and everything to confirm it's all gone, then they still have what they need to make nuclear weapons. Unless we physically go in and get it. All of the weaponry that we have, the bunker busters, the extraordinary bombs that we have, can't get their enriched uranium because of where it is being stored. We don't even know, according to our own military, if a nuclear weapon launched by us would do the job to destroy their ability to have a nuclear weapon. And oh, by the way, whatever country decides to launch a nuclear weapon next will start World War III. And then we really get to Trump's adjectives: obliterate, annihilate, eradicate, except now we're not focused on Iran's military, we're focused on the human race. So that's not really an option. So the option becomes American men and women going physically into Iran to find and get the enriched uranium. Not, by the way, a small project. It's not just a group of SEAL Team 6 going in and picking up some uranium and walking out with it. You're talking helicopters, fighter jets, air power, cover, getting through whatever troops Iran has left, because they do still have some troops, by the way. The Iranian National Guard, Republican Guard rather, as they call it, still exists. So what was this all about? We got regime change, but we don't know what the new regime is, and if it's better or worse for the world. We decimated a military that we didn't really care about. We didn't liberate the people, and we don't have their enriched uranium. And it's cost us $28 billion so far, and if we do the go-get-it plan, we're going to be well over $100 billion, and then we might get from dozens to hundreds or worse of American fatalities, let alone casualties. We're already in the hundreds with casualties. So I'm agnostic. I don't know, which is why I just stopped. Maybe that's the point of just stop. I don't know. It's not a crime to say those three words. I don't know. I don't know if the Artemis 2 means anything. It doesn't to me based on what I know. I don't know if we accomplished anything that matters in Iran because I don't know. I don't have to have an opinion on it. I don't have to scream and yell. There's some things Trump has done now and in his first term that I support greatly, that I think worked out really well. And he does a lot of really stupid shit. He certainly says a lot of really stupid shit. That doesn't make me then go, well, I don't agree with anything that he does ever. And it certainly doesn't make me go, I agree with everything that he does. Or I disagree, or I agree, or I disagree, or I disagree. Stop it. Just stop. And back to the point I was making before that tangent. Stop yelling about the money. What we could have done with $128 billion in this country. You see these bogus statistics on some of the news sites, the reporting on TV, social media. We could have built this many hospitals and schools. And then what? We got to man them. We got to put people in there. We got to train them. By the way, the most simplistic one, $128 billion. Ooh, that's a lot of money. Rounding up, we believe there's 350 million Americans in this country. 350 million Americans, men, women, and children. You take that $128 billion, you split it evenly. Send us all a check, you know, those great stimulus checks. We'd each get about $365. Ooh. No, you got a couple kids. Households would get, what, $1,500, $1,600? That's a lot of money to a lot of people. Pay your rent for 1 month. Fill up your gas tank once. And what about, this is back to third grade logic when you talk it through. So we take that $128 billion, we never spent it. We never spent it on NASA. We never spent it on Iran and all the weapons and everything. Well, what about all of the economic growth of those things? The defense contractors, the jobs of building the weapons, the jobs at NASA, the jobs of building the rockets, all of the economic stimulus that went into paying all of those individuals and buying the materials and all the labor costs and everything and how they stimulated the American economy. Never happened to the third graders amongst us. We're just going to give $365 checks one time to all of us, and that's going to somehow make our lives better or greater. Talk it through. Or don't. Maybe just stop. Do you know how much money $128 billion is to the United States? Bubkiss. Nothing. Zip. Zero. Nada. Have you ever done the exercise of trying to imagine the kind of money we're talking about? Unless your last name is Musk or Bezos, maybe you haven't. A lot of us have grown up living with the number $1 million. Oh, what I would do for $1 million. And I'm not saying it's not a lot of money, but it's no longer the golden goose, the golden egg from the goose, whatever that expression is. You can't retire on $1 million, not in and of itself. You can dream that you could turn that into many millions of dollars with good investing, but that's all that is. That's a dream. That's a hope. It's not even really a plan. It's a hypothesis. But $1 million is a lot of money. You could live very nicely on $1 million for a while. That's $1 million. Multiply that by 10, you got $10 million. Now we're talking. Then you get up to $100 million. What could we all do with $100 million? Now, in order to get to 1 billion, you got to take that 100 million and you got to go back and add a million. Now we're at 101 million. 2, 3, 4. Then you get to $500 million. That's half a billion. You have to get to $999 million to get to 1 billion. You with me still? A lot of numbers. 1 billion. A million, 10 million, 100 million, 500 million, 999 million, $1 billion. United States has spent $128 billion as of this date on the Artemis project and Iran. Take that 1 billion that you just got to, 10 billion, 100 billion. Add 28 billion, now you're at what we've spent. Now keep going. 500 billion. You got to get to $999 billion before you get to 1 trillion. So what is $128 billion to the United States of America? Pocket chains. Sofa cushion money. The United States American government this year, 2026, has an annual budget over $7 trillion. $7 trillion. 999 billion gets you to 1 trillion. You want to go all the way back and do it again now? 7 trillion and 1 million. 7 trillion and 100 million. 7.1 billion to get to a billion, right? Remember 999 billion to get to 1 trillion? You got to keep doing that until you get to $7 trillion. That's what the United States government will spend this year. Stop using amounts of money that almost all of us will never see, can only imagine. And we don't even know what we're talking about when we imagine it. And that's why we say stupid things like, all I need is $1 million and I'd live like a king. Not in this country, you wouldn't. Not for very long. Maybe a year, you could live like a king. Probably not. More like 6 months. So when you scream and you yell, look at all the money we're wasting. You don't factor, just stop. You don't factor in where the money goes, what it does to our economy, how it does feed people and house people and clothe people, Americans in this country, what it does to make the economy bigger and grow stronger so that the rest of us can benefit from it, even in these tough times where gas and food and rent and utilities and daycare and schooling and supplies and Amazon and everything and streaming services are so fucking expensive. I get it. I might be more privileged than a lot, but I get it. It hits all of us. It hurts. Doesn't mean we get to just make shit up and walk around because we don't feel good about how we're doing or because we don't support what our government is doing and go, we know what we could do with that money. No, and neither do you. You don't understand it, so just stop. We don't want to learn. We don't want to educate. We don't want to know. We want to bitch, moan. We want to be upset. We want to put little headlines up on social media. We want to claim things that if you dig just a little bit, just scratch a little bit, like a lottery ticket, or the old, for my generation, the scratch and sniff thing. Just smell it. You know what it smells like? Shit, because that's what you're full of. Because the minute you scratch, you go, oh, 2/3 of Americans say that space exploration is great. But when you ask them why, none of them can give you an answer. No, I don't know. Just stop. Just stop.